Peptides have been in the popular press and talked a lot about in health circles, in functional medicine circles, particularly. And you would think that there's some sort of miracle cure because of all the press they're getting. So we're here today to talk about peptides. And specifically, we're going to narrow it down to autoimmune conditions and how to use peptides in autoimmune conditions, when to use peptides in autoimmune conditions, and what are some of the other things we're going to do along with the peptides to make them most effective. So I'm super excited here. I've got Stephanie Jackson, who is going to be our expert here on peptides to talk to us about what she's found in her practice. And Jennifer Whitmire and I are going to pick her brain and ask the questions that I think most practitioners are thinking about with it. So welcome back to Metabolic Health Solutions, where we just explore deep into how we can use food and lifestyle and natural means to restore function to the body without the use of like heavy duty protocols and kind of getting in the way of the body as opposed to helping it to heal. So let's get started. I'm really interested, and I know that Jennifer has a lot of questions as well. But before we get into the specific application to autoimmune, I want to know specifically about, like, first of all, what are peptides, right? People go around saying peptides, what are they? Like,
Yeah.
well, peptides, it sounds like it's part of protein. It sounds like it's related to amino acids. But
So we all know insulin, which is a very popular and important peptide. So we have protein, we have peptides, and we have amino acids. So amino acids are like the smaller building block. You could have lysine, for instance, or we have a peptide that might be 2 amino acids, 3 amino acids, 5 amino acids, or longer. And this is going to be important when we start talking about peptides in the gut, how long these are. You might have heard some people talk about peptides triggering allergies in the body, right? When we have leaky gut, we get these longer chains of polypeptides that break through. Have you heard this if you're an honest practitioner? Yeah. And then the body responds to that. And then these are ones that we should have transporters for, 2 and 3 chain peptides. We actually have specific transporters in our gut to bring those across.
Bring them across into the
body. Yeah. So those ones are good. We can absorb them. Things that are longer than 5, we are not supposed to be able to absorb those. So then those might be the ones that might be triggering.
Yeah, might be triggering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So that's what peptides are and what they do. How does that relate to leaky gut? You mentioned a few times, and autoimmune conditions, but when do we use them? Yeah, in other words, is it something that is a first line? Somebody comes in and they're experiencing autoimmune condition or leaky gut, and you go, oh, you need this particular peptide to do it? Or at what point are we thinking, let's look at peptides?
Okay, so none of our tools are the first thing that we do, right?
Yeah. Right.
And so it's asking questions, it's digging deeper, it's finding out why something is the way that it is, and then asking why again. And so there might be an environment in the gut that's leading to barrier integrity issues, right? We might call it leaky gut, whatever someone's called it for you. So we might have those barrier issues. And we might also have like low digestive mucosa. And so just low protection, low immunity in the gut. And so things could be going on. It could be a food. It could be not chewing a food well. It could be a bacteria or a byproduct of such bacteria that's going through into the body and triggering things. And so we can't use anything in place of doing those things. We need to remove the offending, whatever it is. We need to work on remodulating the environment so that it's a place that encourages healthy bacteria to grow rather than the ones that might be imbalanced. It's like falling down the stairs and then falling down the stairs again, right? Which you said recently and is so apt here, because we can take something to fix something and then not actually resolve the underlying issue. So none of these tools are in place of that.
Getting to the root cause.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
causes.
Yeah.
And then creating a lifestyle, a diet, a stress management system, or all the things that we know we need to do to help people to remove the root causes.
Yeah, and there's no kind of do this protocol and your gut is fine. Like we're eating food every day we're meant to be dynamic. Things change. Some of us fell off a horse or a bike. Like maybe we're going to have to continue, or maybe we're going to have the opportunity to continue to work on our gut health ongoing. And that just might be it. If there's, thyroid imbalance or something like that, if there's motility issues, we might just continue to work on that. It's not something that is done and fixed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we talk about that, and I'll let Jennifer ask some of her questions too, but I just want to know, so we have a new client comes in and we do some lab testing, or they either tell us that they have Hashimoto's, or we do some lab testing and we see that they have some antibodies to their thyroid. Where would peptides fit into that picture?
Antibodies to the thyroid. Well, I'm going to first look at gut bacteria, and I'm going to look at E. coli. I'm going to look for some other things first to see if that's going through. But so let's say we've done a bunch of investigation and there's leaky gut, because that's where a lot of our questions were.
Right. Yeah.
And there are many, many things that we do for leaky gut. And it can begin with just making sure that the body has what it needs to build a healthy gut and to have healthy cell turnover. And so we're doing all that stuff. Peptides are a very exciting tool. And so far, the research that we have looks like some of the gut peptides like KPV, lorazatide, and BPC-157 can really help to tighten those
junctions, right?
And that can be so helpful for somebody who's had lifelong gut issues. That they are a tool that I would like to use. Yeah.
Okay. Would you use that before or after something like glutamine, which has like the double-edged sword?
So like this depends, right? If there's like gut flora imbalance, L-glutamine can easily feed SIBO bacteria. And we haven't even talked about glutamates, right? And so it can really affect somebody's, or it also depends on their state of mind. It affects, like, are we getting an oat test? I have some question. I might use it in place of that.
Yeah.
And
there's indications, especially.
Yeah. Or along with, right?
Or along with.
Yeah, because we've been focused in the past on getting those specific amino acids that the body can make to heal the gut lining. And then now we are effectively really using things that our body makes anyway, just in higher amount.
Yes, to facilitate.
Yeah, to facilitate healing.
Right.
So like I don't know, for me, the kind of difference between taking the single amino acids and taking a group of 2 or 3 amino acids with the same goal. I don't feel like it's
not that big a difference.
Big of a difference or a bad
And it
choice.
will be an individual to look at, is glutamine contraindicated in this person because they have GAD SNPs and they have a lot of anxiety, and we're not sure if they're converting their glutamate to GABA, or they have the SIBO.
Yeah.
And then it might be dangerous for them. So we're looking at, but then does the BPC, does it contain glutamine?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's, and it also doesn't mean that we don't need L-glutamine. Yeah, or any of the other, like proline, glycine, the other gut healthy amino acids.
Right.
So this would be added in addition to your other things, if you're using herbal remedies and things like that to help with that healing.
Yeah, not instead of, and they all work differently, right? Like some of them really support our mucosa and barrier protection.
So they support, and you said it helps to tighten those junctions. What's actually happening there?
Okay, so there are 3 peptides that we can take orally that seem to, so far, be positively affecting gut healing. And they really do seem to do that in the studies that I've seen. So we've got the BPC-157, the KPV, which is lysine, proline, and valine together. And we have the lorazatide. And so each of those have, the only studies that are really seen are on celiac and people with IBD, or people with IBS, like people that are gluten sensitive, that have identified as gluten sensitive with IBS, and having it really reduce their symptoms and reduce their barrier permeability as well. And so it's just in the early stages of even knowing, why our bodies are producing this in the first place. So BPC-157 can help to increase circulation to an area, can help to increase the amount of growth hormone receptors in an area. And that's one of the ways that it helps. Yeah, exactly.
So my concern is we're increasing blood flow to an area, and we're helping with cell growth, I'm assuming, with the tight junctions. And so how do we make sure, or do they, they're very specific, or can it lead to growth of other things that we don't want to grow in the body.
Absolutely. Because then we're increasing the growth hormone receptors and we're just, it's proliferative. So, I mean, if the person has had a recent colon cancer screening, because I think that's what we're talking about, and I think there have been some objections raised. Colon cancer screening, does it run in the family? The KPV, at least from the studies that I've read, seems to be almost as effective in helping to knit the tight junctions and reverse symptoms of IBD and IBS. So why not just use that
Right.
on its own?
What's the difference between KPV and BPC 157?
The KPV also impacts that immune system communication. So can also help to balance the microbes in the gut. We're not sure how.
Okay.
Like it's kind of correlational so far. And a lot of these, we are actually not sure how they're doing, what they're doing. KPV can also modulate inflammation. And so a lot of people are just taking it for their immune system in different ways. But it is one of the ones that we can ingest because it is only,
3 versus the long ones, which can't get.
Yeah. And so that being said, there's transporter competition. So let's say you're into like collagen peptides or some other peptide thing. Like don't take them at the same time. And don't take it with your meal because as you break down those proteins, you will be breaking some down into peptides. You just don't know which ones, but they compete for the transporters.
And you said proline, lysine, and valine. And at least proline and lysine are 2. Hydroxyproline's another one that are part of collagen. So is how they're working on this healing by stimulating collagen production.
That's possible. Yeah. Yeah, and it might be part of but don't know.
We don't know. Okay.
And so many of our clients are low in amino acids.
Right.
Especially if they're having like mood stuff and gut stuff and autoimmune stuff.
Right.
Kind of that might be a big issue for them. And we have to work on their gut so they can absorb it. And so we're on like a bit of like,
right.
Yeah. If you're already not absorbing your nutrients, then adding in the peptide, is that going to do you any good?
I think it's a lot better than taking protein powder if you're aiming to,
True.
Yeah.
Right.
More easily
absorbed. Which makes me think of another question, because if your food breaks down into these peptides, can I eat a food that contains these amino acids?
I mean, I think it probably depends. I'm assuming that we're working with people who've raised their hand to say, I've got a gut issue.
Yeah.
And I think that, at least for me, like if I'm going to do like a pharmacological plan with a nutrient or a supplement or vitamin C or whatever, I want to try to take the amount that the human people in the studies took and had results. Especially like if I'm trying to help someone, maybe they're brain fogged and they're like exhausted, and this is just part of the toolkit that we're using, but might help them to have the energy to then make those changes. They can suddenly feel a little bit better. Not suddenly, but over a period of as short as weeks, feel better in their gut enough to digest things a little bit better and to then start working on diversifying their foods and chewing and all those things that we want to do.
So how long does someone take peptides? And how do you decide?
Yeah, who knows? Well, anything, retest.
Okay.
Yeah. And so if you can do a gut test that has markers for leaky gut,
And how long would you take it before retesting?
No shorter than 6 weeks.
So you can take them 7 days a week for 6 weeks?
Yeah. I would also, even though they are shorter chains of amino acids, it's not something that I want to just continuously do.
Okay.
Yeah. So I might do, 3 months max and then do a retest. And if it's not having the effects that we want to have, then there's something missing. We've either neglected to take something out, the person's missing something that they still need.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people talk about pulsing with peptides, on off
cycles. I think for the longer chain peptides that people are using subcutaneously, okay, that makes sense. And so just knowing if you are taking something internally, or if you're doing it rectally, like straight up, some people are doing the lorazepam and the KPV as enemas.
As enemas.
Yeah, with anecdotal great results. So that's a thing. Yeah.
So they dissolve it in the enema, or are they making little suppositories and dissolving in the enema? So
Things
they're
you get
soluble.
Yeah, bacteriostatic water and do that. But yeah, so the peptides that people are injecting subcutaneously are much longer chains.
Okay.
Yeah.
GLP-1 is a good example. Insulin's a good example.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So those you can't take intranasally, you can't take orally. It's not going to be absorbed like that. So yeah, and intranasally, just like if it's more than 400 Daltons, like you kind of have to look up the molecular weight of the thing that you're doing. So a lot of them can be taken intranasally, and that can affect the gut as well. Yeah, so some that might be helpful for the nervous system, right? Like if we have low motility, or if we have issues with our sleep-wake cycle, it might be that some of those that you can do intranasally can help. But yeah, I think those are more the ones that are longer chains that we're doing subcutaneously that people want to pulse. Okay, yeah, let's talk about the intranasally for a sec. So there's C-Lank and C-Max that both can affect anxiety. We also don't know how these are doing that, but yeah, they can help people to feel less anxious. There's some decent, although we need way more
More studies.
and these things aren't like new, right? They've been used in other countries for a long time. But so just see how big see what the molecular weight is and see how long the peptide chain is. You can kind of decide for yourself if you can absorb it in different ways.
But what are the drawbacks?
Well, most of them are things that our bodies make anyway.
Okay.
So for me, the biggest drawback is wrong focus. So we're going to be focusing on like the Band-Aid rather than
Right. You still have to do all the other things.
Still have to do all the other stuff. But what you said was, it seems to me it could be useful when people are trying all the other things and they need a jump start. They can't tolerate foods and they're not getting progress. Almost like it's a quick do it for a while, get to the point where we can actually work on what we need to work on in the gut. And is that reasonable?
Yeah, exactly. And some people, like when you are really exhausted and stressed and to the point of not being able to follow through with the plans. Yeah.
For the gut, you would do a gut test first before you decided if they.
Yeah, before and as part of whole.
After all the other things, you would definitely do a gut test first.
Yeah, like I tend to use the Vibrant gut test because it does have the zonulin, and that's one of the markers that you can see go down with this. That's what I want to see happening.
Yeah. And then it seems like you're going to start with like investigating what their eating habits are.
Yeah.
They're chewing and they're eating under stress and fast and timing and all that. Their foods, do they eat foods that are damaging to the gut lining? Right. So you're going to start with those things.
Yeah.
But if somebody comes in and they've done all that stuff, this could be a good place to jump in.
Yeah.
And do something.
So far, it's really exciting.
Now, a lot of the formulas contain the 3. Is that necessary? Do you need to take the 3 or would it be better to, why would you do all 3 or?
And repeat like lorazepam,
The KPV, and the BPC 157. And then a lot of the formulas I see also include copper peptide.
Copper peptide?
Yeah.
And what's the point of that?
Because we're talking about growth hormone receptors with the BPC 157. And so, we just want to, I guess, have a holistic, we're not kitchen sinking growth hormone, but we're trying to make sure that we've got our base out. So first of all, copper peptide, I think, is better absorbed intranasally than it is.
Is that prescription
in the gut.
Intranasally?
Well, I mean, you can make it yourself.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
You just have to watch the pH. And would you guys be interested in like what to make intranasally and what not to do?
Yeah, I
did
the video.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've learned, I've made some mistakes, but I've learned a lot in so doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's better absorbed intranasally or subcutaneously. And if we're not doing injections, I don't know how well that's absorbed in the gut honestly.
Okay, so orally not going to.
I mean, maybe, yeah, it might, yeah.
And how do you make it how do you make an intranasal peptide?
You can use sterile saline or bacteriostatic water, and you get the peptide and you rehydrate it.
So you get the one that's meant for oral use, or you get the one that's meant for
Or subcutaneous.
a subcutaneous.
Yeah.
So that would be prescription though.
Yes, unless you can find a trusted source. Yes.
Okay. And there are some research kind of sites on that. Okay.
And how do you get bacteriostatic water?
That you can just get. Yeah, like from a lab or
Okay.
you can probably get it on Amazon.
And then you're putting it in go squared up nasal thing.
And just figure out what the dosage is. But that aside, we don't need to take all three things. It's like when people make a probiotic formula. It's like it needs to have all of this and this and this. And that's cool. But if we're just looking for a bacteria that helps us to modulate inflammation, we don't need that specific one.
And same way with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it might not be the right one for the right time.
Right. And there are oral formulas. There are companies that make these.
There are.
Yeah.
A lot of them do have all three of those things in them.
Right.
So you just have to, and some of them have butyrate, which can also be, but some people want to take it orally, some people don't. So, yeah.
All right. So we're looking at these as a tool, peptides as a tool, in an adjunctively with our other approaches to helping people create a hospitable environment that is conducive to absorbing foods versus, leaking in things that shouldn't be.
Yeah, like with the goal of being less triggered immune system wise.
Right.
Being able to diversify the things that we can eat over time, but not include those things that we know are just not.
Right.
Yeah, and help them to absorb the nutrients so they can further even feel better and better.
And one of the downsides of them, they are expensive. It's going to cost you more than a bottle of vitamin C or, a bag of, marshmallow root or something like that.
Right.
And those things can be used in adjunctive ways, although marshmallow is probably high in FODMAPs for people who are sensitive to FODMAPs.
At least a lot of the antibacterial, so like marshmallow.
So it's just part of your toolkit, right? And not something you just jump in and go, I'm going to jump on the peptide bandwagon and get everybody on these expensive peptide supplements.
Yeah, and it makes me feel a little bit sad in that it's another, this is what I need. This is the thing outside of myself that will fix me thing.
Right.
It's such they're exciting tools. And yet, it's not like, this is, just the searching and searching and searching for.
I found the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's a part of a routine. And they able to take ownership and chew their food and eat under a calm environment and eat the right foods and not eat inflammatory foods and blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
right.
There's so much. And their ferments and whether they're histamine intolerant or not, there's ways to do that. Get your probiotic bacteria in. You were thinking about that specific growth thing.
Yeah, I was worried. I was concerned about the growth. So those are about absorption, but you're right. Yeah, people with gut issues and with autoimmune disease, they're not absorbing their nutrients. And so are we spending a lot of money on something and then it's not even being absorbed anyway?
I think it's not as bad as, how we take the single amino acid powders.
Yeah.
Because they can be so much more easily absorbed. It's closer to that than it is to like eating a whole, I don't know, block of tofu. And it's hoping that our stomach acid and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds great.
Yes.
I appreciate all your insights, and I know that it's going to be helpful for our audience listening out there. There's literally hundreds of peptides out there that are used for various things. We chose to focus on autoimmune, and autoimmune is just like we have to focus on the gut in order to help people with autoimmune. If you haven't gotten that out of this conversation, that's the main thing, right? If you're not focusing on the gut and healing the gut, in an autoimmune population, and you're not going to get very good results. But this is an extra tool, just like a specific functional probiotic protocol. It's another tool in your toolbox, and you can use this with people who are struggling with autoimmune and leaky gut, and as a next level of something to do. So I appreciate you being here and talking about this and contributing to our listeners who are in some way, shape, or form, functional medicine, I prefer the word functional health practitioners, right? You're focused on functional health, not let's kill the symptoms, let's kill whatever the bug is that's causing it. And we really want to help people get well. And this is just another tool in our toolbox. So just keep doing what you're doing and being out there and caring about people, because that's a big piece. Safety is a really important piece of healing. And we have to have people feel safe in their bodies, feel safe in their environment. And then body's not going to attack. And I just wanted to, one more thing I wanted to add, because we mentioned it a bit ago, is that the immune system is not derailed when there's an autoimmune condition. The immune system is doing what it's supposed to do to protect you. And so there's oftentimes in autoimmune, you've got to discover the source of the stress, the source of the toxins, the source of what the immune system is up in arms against. And that's where we have to fix. And if we don't fix that, the immune system will keep doing its job. It's doing its job. We have to help it to do its job in a safe environment. Together, we can transform health for ourselves and for our clients. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and check out our other videos on metabolic health and hormone balance next. I'll see you on the next video.